The first girl didn't delete the app because she was scared. She deleted it because the man sending her money somehow knew what she had for dinner every single night. At first, she thought it was a lucky guess. Then, he started describing the clothes she hadn't posted. Then he described the view from her bedroom window. And 3 days later, the police found footprints leading up to that very window. She never found out how long he'd been standing there, only that he'd been there long enough to know she slept with the curtains open. Lauren was 24 years old and lived alone in a quiet neighborhood outside Portland. She worked at a coffee shop during the day, and when bills became impossible to keep up with, she started posting exclusive content online under a fake name. She kept her real life separate from the internet. Different email, different phone number, no real names, no location, no family photos. She spent hours making sure every picture hid anything that could identify where she lived. Friends even joked that she was paranoid. Lauren always laughed and said, "The internet notices everything." Ironically, it still wasn't enough. About 4 months after creating her account, a subscriber named Northstar88 appeared. He wasn't loud or demanding. He never asked for anything inappropriate. Instead, he tipped generously and left short, polite messages. "You have a nice smile. I hope work wasn't too stressful today. Get some sleep." Compared to the other messages she received, his almost felt comforting. She even thanked him once. He replied almost immediately, "You don't have to thank me. I like taking care of people." She didn't think much of it. Weeks passed. Northstar88 became her biggest supporter. Every upload, every live stream, every post, he was always there within minutes. He spent thousands of dollars, enough that Lauren could finally quit her second job. Her friends thought she'd found the perfect subscriber. She wasn't so sure. One night, she uploaded a short video from inside her apartment. Nothing unusual. A plain white wall behind her. No windows. No decorations. Or so she thought. 20 minutes later, Northstar88 sent a message. "You should tighten the screw on your smoke detector." Lauren frowned. She looked up. The smoke detector was barely visible in the corner of the frame. She climbed onto a chair. Sure enough, one side hung slightly lower than the other. She'd never noticed. She laughed nervously. "Good eye." His reply came seconds later. "I notice everything." For some reason, that sentence stayed in her head all day. She began looking at her own content the way strangers might. Zooming in, looking for reflections, listening for background sounds, searching for tiny mistakes. She didn't find much. Until one afternoon, Lauren uploaded a photo sitting on her couch. Less than 10 minutes later, Northstar88 messaged again. "Congratulations on your new neighbor." Her heart skipped. She hadn't mentioned a new neighbor. In fact, someone had moved into the apartment next door. Only that morning. Moving trucks had arrived before sunrise. She'd watched them through the blinds while drinking coffee. No one online should have known. She typed back, "What are you talking about?" 3 dots appeared, then disappeared, then appeared again. Finally, his reply arrived. "You'll meet him soon." Lauren didn't answer. She convinced herself he was bluffing. Maybe he'd guessed because there had been noise in the background. Maybe she'd accidentally recorded the moving truck. There had to be a logical explanation. That evening, someone knocked on her apartment door. Standing outside was a friendly man in his 30s holding a small cardboard box. "I'm your new neighbor," he said with a smile. "Looks like one of my packages was delivered here by mistake." Lauren handed him the box. He thanked her. They chatted for less than 2 minutes. Nothing unusual. After he left, she locked the door and checked her phone. Another message waited. "I told you that you'd meet him." She stared at the screen. The timestamp showed it had been sent 7 minutes before the knock at her door. Now she couldn't explain it away. She stopped replying to Northstar88. Days passed. The messages kept coming anyway. "Long shift today? Traffic looked terrible. You should replace the light bulb over your kitchen sink." That one terrified her, because the bulb had burned out that morning. No one had been inside her apartment. At least, no one she knew about. Lauren contacted customer support and blocked Northstar88's account. She expected that to be the end. The next morning, a new account subscribed. Username, Southstar88. No profile picture. I'll be you. Just one message. You blocked the wrong account. Lauren deleted it. Another account appeared. Then another. Then another. Every time she blocked one, another arrived within minutes. Eventually, she stopped reading them. Until one message slipped through because it was attached to a payment notification. It contained only one sentence. Blue looks better than red. Lauren looked down. She was wearing a blue sweatshirt. She hadn't uploaded anything that day. Slowly, very slowly, she walked toward her bedroom. Inside the closet hung the red sweatshirt she'd almost worn that morning before changing her mind. No camera. No live stream. No photos. No way anyone online should have known she changed clothes. For the first time since starting her account, Lauren genuinely believed someone was watching her. She called the police. An officer listened patiently but admitted there wasn't much they could do without direct threats. They suggested changing passwords, installing security cameras, and staying alert. So she bought 2 cameras that afternoon. One pointed at her front door. The other covered the living room. That night, she barely slept. Around 2:40 a.m., her phone vibrated. Another payment notification. Another message. Don't bother checking the front door. Lauren's stomach dropped. The front door camera showed nothing. She switched to the living room camera. Nothing. She checked every angle. Nothing. Then she remembered something. The bedroom window. There wasn't a camera covering it. She slowly walked toward the hallway, trying not to make a sound. The house felt unnaturally quiet. She reached the bedroom door. It was slightly open. She was certain she'd closed it before going to bed. Her heart pounded so loudly she could hear it. She pushed the door open, inch by inch. The curtains were moving gently. The bedroom window was wide open, and sitting neatly on the floor beneath it was a brand new blue sweatshirt with a folded note resting on top. Lauren's hands trembled as she picked it up. There were only 6 words written in black ink. Now you know where I stand. Lauren couldn't breathe. She dropped the note as if it had burned her fingers and stumbled backward into the hallway. The bedroom window overlooked a narrow strip of grass behind the apartment building. Beyond that was a wooden fence separating the property from a line of trees. It was dark, too dark to see anyone. She grabbed her phone and dialed 911. While she was speaking to the dispatcher, she couldn't stop staring at the open window. Every shadow looked like someone standing perfectly still. Police arrived within minutes. They searched the apartment first. Nothing. No fingerprints on the window. No shoe prints inside. No signs of forced entry. One officer stepped outside with a flashlight. A few moments later, he called the others over. There were footprints, fresh ones. They led from the tree line to Lauren's bedroom window. But what made the officers exchange nervous looks wasn't the prints leading toward the apartment. It was the fact that there weren't any leading away. It looked as if whoever had walked to her window had simply vanished. The police believed the frozen ground might have hidden the return tracks, but Lauren couldn't stop thinking about it. Someone had been standing outside her bedroom. Someone had opened her window without making a sound. Someone had left a sweatshirt matching the one she had chosen to wear that morning. The next day, she packed a suitcase and stayed with her older brother across town. She didn't tell anyone where she was going. Not online. Not through text messages. Only her brother knew. That night, for the first time in weeks, she felt safe. Until 8:14 p.m. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. She ignored it. Another text arrived. Your brother should really fix that porch light. Lauren slowly looked through the living room window. The porch light outside was flickering. Her brother frowned. I've been meaning to replace that. Lauren never answered the message. Instead, she handed the phone to the detective assigned to her case. His name was Detective Harris. Unlike the first officers, Harris didn't dismiss the situation. He asked Lauren a question no one else had. Has anyone ever been inside your apartment for maintenance? Lauren thought for a moment. The landlord, the internet technician, a plumber, the air conditioning repairman, cleaning staff once after a pipe burst upstairs. Detective Harris wrote every name down. Then he asked another question. Has anyone ever insisted on helping you? Lauren remembered her new neighbor. Just 2 days after moving in, he'd offered to help carry groceries upstairs. Another time, he'd fixed a loose cabinet hinge in her kitchen. He'd been unusually friendly, but she had never invited him over for long. Certainly not long enough to know where her bedroom was. Harris nodded without saying much. The next morning, he visited Lauren's apartment while forensic technicians searched every room. Hours passed. Then Lauren received a call. "We found something." She rushed back with her brother. The technicians had removed the smoke detector from her bedroom ceiling. Inside wasn't just a battery. There was a tiny wireless camera, perfectly hidden. Lauren felt her knees weaken. Every moment she'd spent inside that room, someone could have been watching. The camera wasn't connected to the internet. Instead, it transmitted footage to a receiver nearby, which meant whoever installed it had to stay close. Very close. Detective Harris immediately requested security footage from nearby businesses. Most cameras were useless, but a small convenience store across the street had one pointing toward the apartment parking lot. After reviewing several nights of footage, they noticed the same silver pickup truck parked across the street almost every evening. It arrived around sunset, left before sunrise, always parked in exactly the same spot. The license plate was partially covered with mud, deliberately. Detective Harris managed to identify the owner anyway. The truck belonged not to Lauren's mysterious subscriber, not to some stranger from another state. It belonged to the man living in the apartment next door, the friendly neighbor. Police obtained a search warrant that same afternoon. Lauren waited outside while officers entered his apartment. 10 minutes passed, then 20. No one came out. Finally, Detective Harris stepped outside with a look Lauren would never forget. He walked over quietly. "The apartment's empty." Lauren frowned. "What do you mean?" "I mean." He looked back toward the building. "There's furniture, food, clothes, but no one has actually lived there." Lauren didn't understand. Harris continued, "The refrigerator is unplugged. The bed has never been slept in. Every drawer is empty. The shower has never been used. It was staged. The apartment had been rented under a fake identity. Everything inside had been arranged to make it look occupied. Someone had rented the place for one reason only, to watch Lauren. Then a forensic technician called everyone into the bedroom. There, hidden behind the bedroom wall, they discovered a small hole, no larger than a coin. It had been painted over from Lauren's side, almost impossible to notice, from the fake apartment next door. The hole lined up perfectly with Lauren's bedroom. Someone had been watching her even before installing the hidden camera. Detective Harris quietly whispered, "This wasn't random, it was planned." As officers continued searching, they found a laptop hidden beneath loose floorboards. The hard drive contained thousands of folders, not just Lauren's name, dozens of women's names, each folder filled with photographs, schedules, notes, maps, copies of driver's licenses, work addresses, daily routines. Every victim had one thing in common. They all created content online. Lauren's folder was the newest. But another folder caught Detective Harris's attention. Its title simply read, "Next." He clicked it. Inside, there was only one photograph. A young woman smiling in front of her phone while recording a video. And in the reflection of her bedroom mirror, someone was already standing behind her. Detective Harris immediately froze the image. For a few seconds, nobody in the room said a word. The woman in the photo looked completely unaware that someone was standing just a few feet behind her. The figure was blurry, dressed in dark clothing, face hidden. But one detail stood out: a silver watch on the person's left wrist. The same watch the fake neighbor had been wearing the day he introduced himself to Lauren. "Zoom in," Harris said. The technician enlarged the image as much as possible. The woman's face became distorted from the pixels. The reflection became even worse. But the watch was unmistakable. Harris didn't waste another second. He tracked down the woman through the account information stored on the laptop. Her name was Megan. She lived nearly 400 miles away. A patrol unit was sent to her apartment immediately. Lauren sat in the station waiting for updates. Every minute felt like an hour. Finally, Harris's phone rang. His expression changed. They got there in time. Lauren let out a breath she didn't realize she'd been holding. Megan was alive. Shocking, confused, but alive. When officers searched her apartment, they found another hidden camera inside an air vent facing her bedroom. Whoever had installed it had been there recently. Very recently. The suspect had escaped before police arrived. From that moment, the investigation became much larger than anyone expected. The FBI became involved. They examined everything recovered from the laptop. It wasn't just one stalker. There were years of surveillance, victims in different states, fake identities, burner phones, temporary apartments rented for only a few months before being abandoned. The man never stayed anywhere for long. He studied his victims, learned their routines, then disappeared before anyone realized what was happening. But despite all the evidence, nobody knew his real name. Every ID they found was fake. Every bank account had been stolen. Every phone was disposable. It was as if the man had erased his real identity years earlier. 3 months later, Lauren tried to move on. She deleted every social media account, left the platform permanently, moved into a different city, changed jobs, changed her phone number. Only a handful of people knew where she lived. Therapy helped. Slowly, she stopped checking every window before going to bed. For the first time in almost a year, she felt normal again. Then, one Saturday afternoon, she received a package. No return address. Inside was a simple cardboard box. There was no note, no letter, just one object, the blue sweatshirt, the same one that had been left beneath her bedroom window months earlier. Lauren immediately called Detective Harris. Forensics dusted the box for fingerprints. Nothing. No DNA. No usable evidence. The security camera outside Lauren's new apartment showed a delivery driver dropping the package off. But when investigators tracked him down, he explained that someone had already paid him in cash to deliver a sealed box. He had no idea what was inside. The trail ended there. 6 months passed. Then one evening, Detective Harris called Lauren. His voice sounded different. Tired. We finally identified him. Lauren gripped the phone. Who is he? Harris. Sahil. We think his real name was Michael Turner. Was? There was a house fire 12 years ago. The family living there died. Parents, a younger sister, and Michael. Lauren frowned. But you said, think, because Michael's body was never identified. Only dental records suggested he had died. But the fire had destroyed almost everything. Investigators now believed someone had used the fire as an opportunity to disappear, to become someone else, to start over without a name. The case officially remained open. Months turned into years. No arrest was ever made. No confirmed sightings. Nothing. Eventually, the story faded from the news. People forgot. Lauren tried to forget too, until one rainy evening, nearly 3 years later. She was walking home after work when she noticed a familiar silver pickup truck parked across the street. Her heart immediately began racing. It couldn't be. The truck had been seized years ago. She kept walking, trying not to look, trying not to panic. Then her phone vibrated. Unknown number. One message. Just 5 words. You finally looked happy again. Lauren spun around. The truck was gone. No headlights. No engine. Nothing. Just an empty stretch of wet road. Police traced the number. Another burner phone. Never used again. To this day, no one knows whether the message came from the original stalker, someone who copied him, or someone who simply wanted Lauren to believe the nightmare had never ended. But Lauren still follows one rule every single night before she goes to sleep. She checks every window. She checks every door. And she never leaves the curtains open, because she learned something that still terrifies her more than any ghost story ever could. The most dangerous people don't need to break into your home to ruin your life. Sometimes, all they need is for you to believe they're watching. And once that thought gets into your head, you'll never really feel alone again.